Thank you. Thank you for that introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. And it is good to be here. Slightly worried when I saw Leslie's presentation, because a lot of those themes I will be touching on maybe in a bit more detail. So I'm going to call it a deep dive into a similar sort of area that Leslie was talking about. Before I begin, I thought it would be good to do an introduction to myself, where I've come from. So I'm not a lawyer. I get mistaken for being a lawyer quite a lot. My background is regulatory compliance, and I began my career as a compliance analyst at Legal & General before I got a role within the data protection team. I've then held a succession of data protection officer style roles, predominantly financial services, apart from a year I spent delivering GDPR at eBay and the various companies within the eBay group. I obtained a few badges along the way, and I am now the Associate Director of Data Protection at IHS Markit. And who is IHS Markit, I hear you say? Well, IHS Markit, well, at the heart of IHS Markit, we are an information company. We have expertise across the world's largest industries. We leverage technology, data science, and we provide software, insights, and data to our customers, which ultimately helps them make better informed decisions. We have 15,000 staff across 36 countries, approximately 1,200 of which work in the London office where I am based. So I thought, rather than going straight into this whole culture discussion, I needed to step back from that discussion and talk about brand. And when I talk about brand, what do I actually mean? I mean the brand of your function, the brand of your team, if you're a one-man band, the brand of yourself in your business. And why is that important? Well, in my experience, GDPR has been a bit of a PR disaster, and I mean that internally with my stakeholders. And I'm going to demonstrate why this is with my emoji sentiment tracker. So when I started out in this industry, as Leslie mentioned earlier, it was widely viewed as very boring. Okay, data protection is boring. Why would you ever want to work in the data protection industry? And I had to put my foot in the door just to get into the room to speak to people about data protection. Then came GDPR, and that changed the game to some extent. We thought in our data protection teams, this was great. Everyone's going to love us. Everyone's going to want to hang out with us now. We'll get loads of new friends. So we start this GDPR implementation project, and there's a lot of panic. There's a lot of people crying and sobbing and saying, this is never going to work for us. A lot of misinformation flew around. I don't know if you saw it, I saw it. A lot of people coming to me with scare stories. So we first started with the fear. We then into our full flight implementation projects, and people are starting to get a bit frustrated. A lot of budgets are being redirected. Projects that weren't even GDPR related are being delayed. A lot of frustration. I'll give you an example. I think it was March 2018. I'm doing park run with my brother in Brighton. This is park run, Saturday morning, and we're running around the park, and my brother says, hey, that GDPR thing you're working on, how's that going? Before I can even answer, a woman overhears GDPR, starts screaming at me, GDPR, don't talk to me about GDPR, I'm a project manager, and this person calling himself a DPO is telling me I can't launch my project on time. And then ran off screaming, okay? This was the park run. This was on a Saturday morning. So this is the issue we have to deal with. It hasn't got any better. We're now in the post-GDPR implementation. The world didn't end, and still I'm getting emails with GDPR in the subject line. Alert, alert, GDPR. And I look at it, it's got nothing to do with GDPR. Why are we using this as a lever for escalation? Okay, and that's not helping us. So what we've got to do is just move away from that and move into this sort of program of meaningful change with some language people can relate to. Stop just using GDPR as a lever. And I've been doing that with my business, and the ways I've been doing it is, first and foremost, we were all kind of in a box before GDPR. We didn't get out much. People didn't invite us to their meetings. They weren't interested in what we had to say. So now, we need to maintain that awareness that we created in the business. We need to keep visiting people, maintain those alliances with those people that we work with. Be present and visible as possible. This is the most important bit. I put it in bold. Share your enthusiasm with your stakeholders. We're all passionate about data protection, right? That is transferable, it's infectious. You share that passion with people and people will start to buy into what you're trying to achieve. And you've got to clearly define and articulate your mission. What do I mean by that? Well, I went on the internet and I did a Google search and I found this. I like this. I've highlighted the bits I like the most. So if you are the person in your company that's known as GDPR guy, and I do get that, I hear you're the GDPR guy. Okay, well, yes, but I'm a bit more than that. What does that even mean to people? What does GDPR mean to your general stakeholders, your customer services team? Meaningless. So we need to change the way we're being known as. And so this is great. Foster a culture that values privacy through awareness, provides meaningful advice, best practices. This is all really good stuff. So there's another organisation that has published mission statement, vision and strategic goals. We all know who this is. I did do a presentation once where I showed this and I said, who is it? And no one put their hand up. But I'm going to tell you it's ICO, okay? So it's really important to do. If you've already done this, which is great, I'm not sure if anyone's done this, but if you have, it's great. We've done it and we've moved on because we're like, well, what else can we do to build this brand? Well, we need a logo. Our team needs a logo. And so we went to our creative help team. They created this logo. I don't know what the hand means. I don't understand it, but it's a logo. People now, it represents us. It's on our intranet. It's on our policies. It's in our email signatures, okay? So we now have a logo, and it's Think Privacy. That's the awareness campaign I'm in the middle of this month. That's just brand, okay? That's just getting people back in front of you, talking to you. Let's talk about the actual culture, and I'm going to talk a bit about some of the stuff, some of the themes that Leslie's already covered, employee engagement, but I think it's broader than that, okay? We need to talk about management and an actual structure of your program. If you're ad hoc, like I used to be, which is we go where the fires are and we try and put them out, then potentially you're always going to be losing. And then my favourite subject, KPIs. Yeah, we all love KPIs, right? Why is this important? Well, I don't know about you, I did a series of gap analysis activities in businesses before GDPR, and that resulted in a long list, a big spreadsheet of stuff we had to do. Okay, this big spreadsheet, and we all worked through it. It became the box-ticking exercise that some of you are probably very familiar with right now. And my senior leaders, my managers, when I say, I've got to spend some money on some T-shirts, I've got a whole load of T-shirts being printed up. They're like, why do you want T-shirts? I was like, no, this is important because we've got to move away from this box ticking. We've got to build this culture of privacy that pervades the entire organisation. And that begins with some proactive engagement. I am assuming you had some sort of senior leader endorsement for your privacy program pre-GDPR. You had some director, senior bod going, this is important to the company, we all got to do it. That person, assuming they're still there, why don't you utilise that? And I can show you now, hot off the press, the Think Privacy Quick Reference Guide. And the reason why I'm showing this, just being printed, is we've got our CEO has endorsed it. He's like, this is so important to me and my company. And this, people then will buy into it. It's not just me saying, hey, this is important. No, it's just that GDPR guy speaking again. This is the head of the company. He's saying this is important. And so, just with that, we're starting to move into some classroom training exercises. As you've seen, 15,000 staff. I can't train them all. So I focus on areas of high risk. I make the content relevant to the process, to the people in the room. So I have to bespoke that content. It's a lot of work. And I always bring real-life examples. I've lost count of the number of classroom trainings I've done where I've said, this was a data breach we dealt with, and it was really serious, and a hand goes up and goes, oh, that happened in our team last week. So we're actually identifying privacy issues. Just through doing this training, if you were to say to 20 people in your company, would you like to do an hour's worth of data protection training? Do you think they'll say yes? No. They're going to say, no, I don't want to do training. Would you like to come and spend an hour with me having lunch, which is fully paid for? Oh, yeah, sounds all right. Catch is, you have to listen to me talk about data protection for an hour. It works. It gets people in the room, incentivized, training by stealth. Competitions, prizes, crosswords. it kind of is I think, let's start with the swag. I think that's, well, let's take a step back. Okay, already you've already given away one of my things. I say, so you want to start the dialogue with the people in your company, but you don't know how to start. And typically, January 28th, that's the great day to kick off your program, right? So we start that off with International Data Privacy Day, which is 28th. But we think, well, that's just one day. What else can we do? Well, we can use Records and Information Management Month, because we all know when that is, yeah? I'll pick on someone. Anyone know this one? Why does no one know this? We had a whole month of stuff in April about this. We had an information and records management breakfast. People came in. We had teams like shredding paper that they've been sitting on for ages. It was all great. We bought them pizza. It was great fun. Not just that, though. Global Information Governance Day. I bet no one knows this one, right? No? Well, I had to Google this one. Of course, it's the third Thursday in February every year, okay? So you can use that one as well. And I want to talk about swag. It's pretty cheap, cost effective, but very, very effective. But this was the stuff we gave away. Now, we did a quiz on January 28th, and we gave away this stuff to the first 30 people that got the 100% on the quiz. That wasn't the main prize. The main prize had to be drawn by our chief of staff, because we wanted to make sure that it was a legit drawing of the winner, and he drew so we got the photo of him drawing the prize, put it on the intranet, sent it around to everyone via email, and there he is, the winner in our Guargon office. And what did he win? He won this IH Markit jacket. They've got a lot of interest. You should be surprised. I was asking for an iPad. Okay, can we give? No, not too much money. You can have a jacket. I was like, no one's going to be interested, but actually there were a lot of interest in the jacket. Brand ambassadors. This is so important, and Leslie's already touched upon this, so I won't labour the point. But champions, liaisons, what you want to call them, they bring great stuff. But you've already heard a lot of this. I'm going to talk about who might be a good one for your business. If you're trying to decide who is a good champion to recruit, well, typically, you'd think someone in compliance or IT, security would be good, but they're very busy. They can't give much time to you. The best engagement I've had is from customer services, complaints, quality service areas, people that are interested in doing something different, and you can take them off. They love being taken off the phones. You've got a phone team, you give someone the opportunity not to be on a phone, they're going to buy in, okay? And then you get management who will just go, hey, this is really important, be a figurehead. So just think about the people that you put into this network. I think we've got 60 or 70 in my network at the moment. I heard a horror story from someone once that they'd set up this network of champions, and one of the champions got a complaint from a data subject and decided to contact the ICO independently, because they thought, this is good, I'll talk to the ICO about this. So always make sure people have documented roles and responsibilities. You're not talking to the ICO. I do that. Don't do that. Ensure that there's defined opportunities. Given the personal objective, we have a bonus pay scheme in our company. If you have the same, if you give someone an objective on this, they will really engage because pay rises dependent on it. Make sure there's regular contact meetings. If you've got online resources, get them all signed up to that. I'm going to go into this one. So we've given 25 of our network professional membership to the IAPP, and we are paying for, I think, 5 now to actually go and obtain professional certification. Which is great that we've got the budget to do that. And people really, really engage now because, hey, I'm actually getting a professional certification. If you've done all that and you're thinking where next, well, there's levels, because they're not all created equal, right? Some people have no understanding of this, so they'll be like a rookie or junior, and there will be people that have gone and got the certification, right? They're veterans now. And never forget the power of swag. Lanyards, mouse mats. I'm actually going to Munich on Monday, and then I'm in Frankfurt the day after with this whole awareness campaign I'm doing. I'm looking at my suitcase thinking half of it is filled with swag. I've got all this stuff I'm just giving away. But it's really, really works. I'm going to talk about management and structure. We've moved away from the employee engagement bit. I'm going fast. I was told I have 5 minutes less than I thought I had. Management structure. So I remember for years I was involved in the privacy program or data protection program, and we didn't really have any structure. We had policies, but we never, I mean, we could not say, are we better tomorrow than we were yesterday? We just don't know. Okay, we think we are. We assume we are. I've had a lot of experience with this. Now there's, I think, NIST, ISO. There's a number of frameworks you can use. I'm just going to talk about the generally accepted privacy principles based around 10 management criteria that has been converted in what's called the privacy maturity model. The reason I like this is, for one, you get some metrics out of it, because I love metrics. And you don't have to gold plate. You set the targets in accordance with your business needs. And what you can do, the best thing about this, senior managers go, I'm investing a lot of money in your program. 6 months ago, were we not as good as we are today? And you can go, actually, I can tell you right now that we're on a 3.55, heading to a 4.25, meaningless. But it gives someone, it gives those senior leaders who are investing money in your program, it gives them that insight that there's a return on investment, that's it, ROI, okay? We have ROI. Also, so you've got the 10 management criteria, and this is just made up, I made this one for the presentation. Let's just say you are the privacy professional in this company and you're looking at this going, well, subject access rights. We're not as mature as we need to be. I'm going to drill down into the sub-criteria of that process. You can tinker with this and adapt it and do what you want with it. And you can then go, actually, where, in terms of that management process, do we need to improve? And I can actually drill down my privacy program into a certain criteria and improve it. And in the example I've got on screen, we can see documentation. It's not very good. We're well below our target for documentation. And having experienced a similar thing in other businesses, I've looked at documentation. I imagine most of you looked at documentation for GDPR and when don't have enough policies or any policies, don't have any standards. So given this example is around user rights, you write a policy, user rights policy. It's a very high-level document. It's like we commit, we will allow data subjects to exercise their rights. But during your analysis, you're like, well, we get three main user rights exercised. So we should write some more detailed documentation. We should have some standards. We definitely have a standard for the 3 rights that we get a lot of. But if anyone's familiar with subject access requests, that's quite a technical, it's quite a complex process. And you're probably going to need some written guidelines. Okay, you're going to need some guidelines. You need a guideline of the actual process. And then redaction, it's quite complicated. I think I'm going to write an entire guideline just on that. And then exemptions, yeah, probably should cover that. Manifestly unfounded and excessive by nature. Has anyone ever written a guideline on that? I have. I was actually really, really excited when I read it. Look, everyone, look what I've done. Everyone's like, get out more. You do all that, and the business go, that's great, but we don't use that when we do our processes. We have standard operating procedures, and so what you need to do is update where they exist, or create where they don't. Once you've done all that, you've still got to embed it in the business, right? Because just throwing a ton of paperwork at a load of people just tend not to work, and that's where I started my career, was working on the first line, getting policies from the second line, going, here, go comply. And I was like, you don't know anything about what we do. This makes no sense. We can't comply with this policy. You're creating a policy where we're instantly in breach of the policy. So you've got to work with those business units to make sure all of this stuff is up and running. And once you've done all that, how do you know it's actually working? Well, the way to know is through KPIs. Who is using KPIs today to measure, monitor their privacy program? That is not many. Okay. So I'm going to put it out there, all right? I love KPIs. I've said it, told the world. All right? My love of KPIs came from my time as a compliance analyst, where I was partly responsible in a team for what was the monster of the data protection information security risk pack. We produced this monthly. This is just from memory that I've thrown up here. This was about half of the things we were reporting on. So we knew the number of data breaches, severity of breaches, status of breaches, number of access requests, status of access requests, that sort of stuff. InfoSec were tracking all of the pen test results. third-party supplier audits. We did all this with trend analysis. We had it for the whole last 12 months. But we didn't have a GRC back then. We had no technology. It was all disparate data sources. And it was all done through Excel. Not very scalable, I'll admit that. But the benefit we got from it was huge. I mean, we were drilling down our training. We were identifying areas of the company where, damn, they are getting that wrong. We need to go and speak to them and do some focused training. So we had that intelligence, and it really benefited our privacy program. Now, if we go back to my example, which was subject access, I guess the first thing, what is the first thing you should know about your subject access request process? If you're going to generate a metric, what is the first? Can anyone tell me what is the most important thing you should know about subject access in your business? I personally, and this is in pretty much most companies I've joined, is how many do we have? How many have we done? How many are we getting? How many are in flight right now? And you'll be scared, the number of companies I've gone into and they've gone, don't know. Bob and Sue manage the process through their email account. We don't have any idea how many they've got right now, how many they've had, how many are over time. Okay, so you've got to start somewhere, and you start with the volumes. Just very basic trend analysis, completely made up for the basis of this presentation. And as you can see, every May, everyone goes, it's GDPR day, let's submit some SARs. You get a spike. But in this example, there's a worrying trend, okay? Now, you can never truly predict the volume of SARs, okay? You can't do it. But you can also look at the trends and say, how much resource do we have for this process? And if this trend continues, are we going to start breaching every SAR we get? Because that's a definite possibility. So you can actually start to try and manage resource. You can maybe cross-train, and I've been involved where we've cross-trained different departments so we could handle these peaks and troughs. After that, I think I heard someone whisper, the next metric, because this metric's based on a manual process, right? I would say how many people have fully automated their SAR process, but I personally think that's impossible. I've been involved in some automation. Is anyone automating SARs? No one is automating SARs. I have been involved. It was when I was at a tech firm. They were automating SARs. It wasn't truly automated. It's an important metric to have for a manual process. How quickly are we doing our subject access requests? And in this example, we can see that actually, weirdly, it takes us longer to do SARs in the summer. Why is that? Yeah, Bob and Sue, they have a 2-week holiday. They're not around. SARs take longer. I don't want to be the DPO in this company who's explaining to the regulator, yeah, we breach our SARs every summer because we just don't have the resource. That's fine, isn't it? You know? That's allowed, isn't it? Because people got to have holidays, right? And I guess it leads to the question, and the question that's being tested, definitely in Holland, that I've seen recently, is does accountability get to go on holiday? Yeah? And I think the answer is no. And on that bombshell, I will end with a summary, and I've flown through that super quick, so I've got 7 minutes of question time. Brand is so important now. It was a PR disaster, GDPR. It was for me. Try and get people talking about other stuff, not just GDPR. Get people to buy in. Liaisons, whatever you want to call them, champions are key. They will develop that culture in your organisation. It's when you start hearing people repeating your own words, that's when you know you're actually starting to succeed. People that aren't in your team. I have a great privacy champion who's in HR who is actually desperate to do a DPIA. Okay, hold horses, we'll do a DPIA. I'm totally fine with this. This is great. You know, that is a measurement of success in my mind. Management structure. You need to be able to nowadays say, are we any better than we were before, okay? Because otherwise you're always going to be scrabbling around firefighting. It is proactive effort, and a lot of the time we can be buried in the reactive, the firefighting, but you've got to put aside some time to start looking at this in a more structured framework. And always think about KPIs. KPIs are a really good way to get funding, if you need funding for a certain thing, and you're saying, well, it's because we get lots. Well, what does that mean? well, now I can show you this because we get this much, and actually we're going to start breaching if we don't spend some money. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, I think, and open the floor for some questions.
Any questions for Ben? Oh,
We have one.
Hi. On your very impressive KPI slide, you had something about pens. Is that your swag collection, or is that related to something
pen
else?
testing. Penetration testing of systems should be done before the system is launched, or should be done annually. I have spent some time in the InfoSec world, so yeah, we use jargon. Apologies for the pen test jargon. It's not testing the virus.
any more questions? Yes, there we go. And yeah.
Can I ask, how big is your privacy team to deliver all this fantastic stuff?
Yeah, so up until, was it 2 months ago, it was 1.5. So it was me and a part-timer who was doing compliance and privacy. We've been trying to recruit. Well, I say trying. I've been pushing out the job description to my manager for about 9 months, going, we must recruit. And we finally got 2 new people in the last 2 months. So that's helped me do a lot of stuff that I've just been sitting on previously. But you can do this stuff very cheaply, on your own, and it's doable.
And Crystal had a question as well.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Do you share your KPIs report or anything relating to that, substantiating that with your internal audit or even external audit function provider?
So there was an audit recently, it was GDPR related, that was talking about KPIs, so we showed them what we're doing, and of course they all said, well, it's not enough. We haven't moved to the point where that is now a periodic, regular feature of our privacy program, so I'm putting together some data sources that I'm presenting to senior managers, particularly when I'm trying to get budget for something. And we are moving in 2020 towards I'd like a monthly pack that we distribute to the managers. But we're not quite there yet.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.